Rob, I'll jump back over to you. We've heard obviously some great stories to this point, not to paint a negative picture, but there's got to be some challenges, I would imagine, that come along the way over the years, whether it be physically, mentally, or otherwise, life, sport. What are some of the challenges perhaps, and I'll ask each one of you again as well, but some of the challenges perhaps that you had to overcome?
As far as the person with spina bifida goes, I've been very lucky. Up until the last couple of years, I was able to walk. As mentioned earlier, I played a number of able-bodied sports and things. I wore 2 lower limb braces, and I just had that slight wobble. So really, on a physical aspect, it didn't expand me in much of a way. Maybe a bit of upper body strength, which I could use. But for me, the biggest thing was confidence. Being told and looked at, so, the last guy picked, and, those type of things brings you down a bit. You don't feel equal. And I needed that boost from young to teenage to 20s even. And that's what it gave me most, because I was playing against able-bodied people and disabled. And to be able to be just as good, if not better than, gave me that lift that I really needed in life.
Carl?
All right, I'll answer this in 2 parts. So in terms of regular life, I was subject to some teasing when I was a kid, but I quickly stopped all the teasing when I became an athlete. Because, like Anthony was saying, if I can bench press more than any of my classmates, if I can, curl more than them, if I'm coming in ripped and they're all scrawny, like, you guys are supposed to
make this personal, all right?
Well, you guys are supposed to be the able-bodied ones. You guys are stereotypically supposed to be the strong and, muscular ones. But wait a minute, this guy that, I use a wheelchair sometimes. So this guy that's in class in a wheelchair is, stronger than me. Like, maybe I should talk to him. Maybe I should give him a chance. So that was kind of how I built my friendships and got people to see me as a person and not look at my disability. Now, in terms of athletics, I faced challenges within sledge hockey as well, because when I got invited to my first tryout when I was only about 15 years old. So I was young and not really, not expecting to make it at that point. But year after year, this kept happening. I kept getting notes from the coaches saying, work on this, you need to, a big thing for them was I'm a smaller guy. There's a lot of guys that are, like around 6 feet tall on the national team. So, they said this year we're looking at more size. So what would I do? I can't make myself grow, but I can go out there and work it really, really hard at buffing up in the gym. So, I would focus on this, and I made kind of an oath to myself that I would be that guy that just wouldn't go away until they took me. I would be at the cusp. I would be the guy that they would continue to invite back because I had the heart and I had the determination, and eventually it got me a spot on the team. Now, I got a spot not from a tryout in 2013, but I got cut from the tryout, but a player got injured and they needed a player to replace him that weekend. So it was very last minute, but I'm like, I'm going to drop everything because yes, I'm going to this tournament. I got a goal in my second game. Like, it was a three-game series against Norway. Got my first goal in the second game, got a hat trick in the third game, and they kept me on for the rest of the year.
Anthony?
As Carl was saying about being cut from the initial tryout, that happened to me last year at Team Ontario. I was cut because obviously I wasn't that good. So 2 other players they were selected for the national team. So I was called up out of one of the only players that was asked to come back if players weren't able to come or if they made higher tournaments, so national team. So within the first game we played against Florida, it was a 3-game series as well. I was the only rookie to score in the first period, first game, first game of the series, yeah, whatever. So I scored there, and the coaches, because I was already on the team at that point because of the guys not making it, or the guys making it. So when I scored, the coach was like, okay, well, we got a decent player on our hands. After that, I tried out for Team Canada. I was at like a tryout before the tryout for Team Canada. Unfortunately, I didn't make it, and they don't want me at the tryouts, but I'll be at the next one definitely. That's for sure gonna happen. Well, yeah, it's like back to the whole the label aspect of it. I never really let the label that I was given deter me, because why would I? There's no reason to. If I can outbench people, I will. That was what my driving force was. If I can do something better than someone who has all the opportunity in the world, I'm going to do it. So that's where that comes in. And I was never really like a popular guy. Like, I'm popular enough where I have friends, but I'm not like alone. So.
Sally, what about you? Some challenges over the years that perhaps you overcame?
Within sport, within powerlifting, funding, because no one in North America powerlifts. So the first year I lifted, there was 4 of us. Then one person got dropped, the decision of the sport organization, national sport organization, dropped an athlete. Another one retired due to health concerns. So then there was only 2 of us. Then, at any rate, it ended up, the last few years, I was the only one. And so then they stopped funding because, well, there's no one to compete against. So there was no carding system, because for carding you have to have provincials and nationals and regionals and all these other things that we couldn't do. So that was a big thing. But as far as sport in general, I have to say my size has been a challenge. Like I said, I did try to play sledge hockey. Didn't go well. It was fun, but I didn't like getting hit. I couldn't deal with getting hit. If there'd been a women's team back then, like there is now, I would try. I would try the women's team, but there wasn't. I had to make the men's team. And I almost did. I was the last cut for Littlehammer. Some of my other challenges, just getting people to believe me that, yes, I'm a power lifter. Because even when I went to the Paralympics in Athens, people from all over the country are there, right? Like, so you don't know most of the team, and you're introducing yourself to different athletes, and they're like, okay, what sport are you in? And they're like guessing tennis, table tennis. Nothing, they're Paralympic sports and they're actually guarded. So they're doing better than powerlifting was, but I'm a powerlifter, and I was the smallest person on the team. Actually, when I started lifting, I was the smallest lifter in the world, because I was the smallest lifter in the smallest weight class.
We have a lot in common, Sally. We have a lot in common.
For 3 years, so that's the biggest challenge.
Now, this is going to sound very obvious, Dr. McPherson, but how much of an issue is funding, period? Not just for research, but funding for everything.
Are you trying to make me cry here? Your funding's very, very hard. I think one of the things I'd be interested in is around the idea of sort of social support, the support you had from your parents, from your family to kind of make things happen. I think that's a big piece. Funding, for sure, for professional sports, very difficult, but there are other aspects of support that we see, especially with kids, that in order to keep going at the sports, and often some people parents maybe not knowing quite how important it is, or that it's not an important thing, or their kids shouldn't do it because of health concerns and so on. So I think there's a number of different things that can help people get over some of those challenges.